Pleasure to be here. Great to see everybody. I'd like to call the February 19, 2025 meeting of the Pinellas County Tourist Development Council to order. If Councilmember Gertis could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I believe Mayor Rector is going to join us virtually today, so I will need a motion to allow him to participate.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Was that from Mayor Gaddis? Yes. A second from Mr. Prather?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Appreciate that very much. Bruce, are you on the line? Okay, got it. Okay, sounds good. All right, first action item we have is the approval of the minutes from our January 15th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Okay, motion from Mr. Saraki. Oh, second from Doreen Moore. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, for public comment, I believe is there any member from the public that wishes to speak on something other than capital projects? Okay, then what I'm going to do here is wait till we get to those capital project action items, and we'll call public for comment at that time, okay? All right, so first of all, we're going to go on to presentations then. So we have capital projects. So why don't we just do public comment now then? Sure. Okay, all right. So we'll just go ahead and with public comment now since we're already on capital projects. All right. First speaker we have, and you will have 3 minutes, is Michelle Smith. You got the timer? Okay. Morning.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Smith, and I'm representing the City of Clearwater as a sports advisor consultant. Clearwater has a rich history of softball tradition beginning in the 1940s with men's fast pitch, the 10-time national champions Clearwater Bombers. Girls fast pitch grew from the strength of this program and due to the influence of many of the Bomber players and coaches. In the 1990s, the city established the Sports Tourism Division to partner with local, regional, and national partners to bring softball events to Clearwater. Since then, the city has hosted thousands of youth teams, hundreds of collegiate softball teams, as well as international teams and visitors to the destination through the Eddie C. Moore Complex. The city hosts approximately 32 events a year at the Eddie C. Moore Complex. 2 of these cornerstone events are the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association Leadoff Classic and the Shriners Children's Clearwater Invitational. These 2 just completed events hosted 33 Division I national teams, 15 of which are ranked in the top 25. Most of the teams stayed in Pinellas County, in Clearwater, on Clearwater Beach, with some in Oldsmar and as far north as Tarpon Springs. Over 20,000 tickets were sold to people from 47 different states and 4 different international destinations. National exposure for these events were held on various platforms, such as the MLB Network, and of course, the ESPN networks, which include the ACC and SEC networks, as well as ESPN Plus, Disney Plus. So a lot of exposure on the linear networks as well as the streaming platforms. These type of events make our community stronger, not just through tourism, but it also allows the girls in our community to stay involved with the sport they love, but also not just as a player. They can be an announcer like me, they can work behind the camera, they can work in sports medicine, for the media, they could be a coach on the maintenance team or a special events management team. Clearwater and Visit St. Pete Clearwater have been a great partner to me and the ESPN team. And that's the reason why ESPN continues to keep this event in Clearwater. We hear stories all the time of families that are here creating and reliving memories through these events. At the end of the day, The Eddie Seymour Complex is a big part of the reason why people come back. We want to continue to provide for the players, the families, the visitors, and the residents the opportunity to continue to make these memories and to continue coming back to Clearwater and Pinellas County. We're very excited and we're very grateful for the opportunities that this grant will afford the city.
Thank you, Michelle.
And we just really hope that you will fund the project to the full amount, the $10 million, to help the city grow and really develop Eddie Seymour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Julius Sayas. Morning.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Martin. I'm the Vice President of Zoological Care for Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Do I need to hit a different button?
Hold on one sec.
Okay.
You got it? Just hit repeat. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Martin. I'm the Vice President of Zoological Care for Clearwater Marine Aquarium. And on behalf of the aquarium, we'd like to thank the Pinellas County Tourist Development Council for the opportunity to highlight how our proposed capital project will integrate education and entertainment, benefit our residents, and boost tourism by increasing visitation and visitor spending here in Pinellas County. As you might be aware, CMA draws visitors from across the globe, driving tourism and delivering a significant economic impact for Clearwater and the surrounding region. Through our educational programs, international conservation initiatives, and scientific research, the aquarium benefits the county and the community while contributing to the preservation of marine life and our shared ecosystems. It's our mission to protect and restore the marine environment through education, research, conservation on both a national and a global level. The California sea lion is found over on the west coast of the United States and is one of the most recognizable pinnipeds known for its social and playful nature. However, what many of you might not realize is that this particular species actually serves as a canary in the coal mine, signaling when our oceans are in distress. Threats such as entanglement, harmful algal blooms, rising ocean temperatures, and human-caused injuries often lead to their rescue and their rehabilitation. Sometimes rehabilitated animals cannot be released back out into their natural environment. And Clearwater Marine Aquarium provides an environmentally suitable habitat for those animals, where these animals actually play a vital role in educating our visitors about the importance of marine conservation efforts. Our project aims to introduce the species, renowned for their engaging and charismatic behavior, to Pinellas County, creating a major attraction that will draw visitors to the Clearwater-St. Pete area while promoting awareness and stewardship of our marine ecosystems. We have carefully planned the funding for our new habitat and would be extremely grateful for this grant opportunity to further our mission-driven work. Our financial strategy includes reinvesting revenue from admissions, memberships, and special programming while leveraging philanthropic contributions and corporate sponsorships, maximizing our funding opportunities. Community support remains a crucial factor in bringing this project to life. And with the ability to match the TDC awarded funds, CMA is well positioned to make this vision a reality. We are committed to making a lasting impact. We thank you for our time today. Together, we can create an exciting new attraction that not only boosts tourism, but also inspires future generations to care for our oceans and marine life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it. So you also had a card. Was that your card as well?
That was my card, correct?
Okay, got it. All right. So Julie Sayas, did you have 3 minutes as well? So you're all part of the team? Okay, got it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Dory Gerdak. I apologize if I... All part of the team. Okay, got it. Daniel Slaughter. Good morning.
Good morning, Council. So thank you, and good morning, Mr. Chairman and council members. I'm Dan Slaughter, the Assistant City Manager for the City of Clearwater from 600 Cleveland Street, Suite 600. Our Clearwater Beach Marina has not seen any meaningful renovation since 1965. And in the interest of time, I don't want to restate much of the information that's been relayed to the staff, from the staff to the council, but the City of Clearwater is very proud to have the amenities that come with being a full-service marina, including making available 31% of the marina, or 51 of the 165 slips for our commercial operations. These commercial operations include water recreation activities, fishing charters, eco-tours, parasailing, and family entertainment cruises like Nemo's Pirate Ship, Shark Teeth, and Dinner Cruise Ships, just to mention a few. Activities that result in direct spending to support job creation, generate sales of items such as food and beverage, and help drive visitor satisfaction that encourages return visits, which helps compound visitor numbers and room night sales over time. Simply stated, these amenities and entertainment options to Clearwater Beach are a vital part of our world-renowned Clearwater Beach tourist destination and are amenities that are necessary for our location to compete with beach destinations around the world. As we have the best beach in America, we believe this will make the marina one of the best in America as well. As we shared in our information in our packet, we've updated our marina to create Marina Walk, which will be a natural extension of our popular Beach Walk, which seeded the development and growth on Clearwater Beach. It will establish the Clearwater Beach Marina and our dedicated commercial partners as a destination of its own, as was reflected in the material with the application. Among some of the enhancements, new docks, both floating and fixed, that will have the same mix and number, but in a better layout and a slightly larger footprint. Upgraded overwater utilities, modernized and a more resilient fuel service, and making the marina more of a walkable, pedestrian-friendly destination that is ADA compliant. The overall budget of the project is $46.3 million. The portion of this budget that is funding the commercial operations is $15.4 million. The project is currently under construction and scheduled to be completed in August of 2026. The City of Clearwater is committed to keeping these commercial operations available during the entire construction process, so these amenities remain available for the enjoyment of our tourists. The application request was for support of $10 million, and we would ask for that consideration, but also respect the staff presentation and certainly respect the staff. On behalf of Jennifer Poyer, the City Manager of the City of Clearwater, I would like to say thank you to the Visit St. Pete Clearwater staff for their support in running a very well-crafted application process and for their communication through it. And we would also like to thank the entire council for your consideration and service on this council, and we look forward to your favorable review. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, and then last, we have Haweda Afton.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Huwaida Afan. I am the Executive Director of the Arts Center Association, DBA as Maureen Arts Center. And I'm here to emphasize the importance of your support for our proposed redevelopment project, which includes relocating the Chihuly Collection into a new expanded facility at our current location at 719 Central Avenue in downtown St. Pete. This $30 million transformation, for which we seek $15 million in funding, will establish a premier artistic hub seamlessly integrating the Chihuly Collection to create a unified visitor experience. For 108 years, the Arts Center has been a cornerstone of our community, providing accessible opportunities for creative expression, education, and cultural enrichment. As our city evolves, so must we. This redevelopment is not just about expanding our physical space. It's about sustaining our role as a vital center for creativity and economic vitality. The economic impact study included in our application illustrates that this project will significantly boost tourism, reinforcing trends that Visit St. Pete Clearwater has identified over the last 3 years, which ranked the Chihuly Collection among the area's top attractions directly below the St. Pete Pier. It illustrates that we can sustain more than 80,000 in incremental attendance and more than 30,000 incremental paid room nights every year with the new project. By drawing more visitors to our county and increasing our capacity for programs and exhibitions, we will continue to contribute significantly to the local economy and support the thriving cultural tourism sector. With this new facility, with the Chuli collection integrated, we will enhance arts programming, provide state-of-the-art resources for local artists, and foster an inclusive space for both residents and tourists. This project has been a strategic priority for our Board of Trustees since 2021, aligning with our mission to connect people with art through community-oriented art and art education. I ask you to consider the lasting benefits this investment will bring to Pinellas County. Your support will ensure that the Art Center and the Chihuly Collection at its core remain a hub of cultural enrichment for generations to come. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to your support.
Thank you very much. And then lastly, we have Paul Wilborn.
Good morning. I'm Paul Wilborn from the Palladium Theater. I'm Executive Director of the theater in St. Petersburg. I'm just here to thank you guys for supporting us. I think it was August when we were here last, and our project hasn't changed. We've slowed things down just a little bit because of the storms, but we're still on track, and we've raised $1.8 million from the state. We've raised $1 million from the city of St. Petersburg, and we've raised over $6 million from private donations for our $10 million project, and I really appreciate the support of this organization. And that's it. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Paul. All right, next we'll move on to the capital projects presentations. Brian.
Great, thanks, Mr. Chair. And I'll ask them to support me in driving from the back room. And I'll kick this presentation off, and then Susan from Crossroads Consulting will help in the remainder of the presentation. Just to give you a little background, I know we do have a few new members here on the board that weren't here when this started, and certainly weren't here when the capital funding guidelines were approved. These are, as a reminder, these are the first time that we're going through this cycle for capital projects under the new guidelines back in 2023. About summer of 2023, right when I came on board, the TDC recommended and the Board of County Commissioners adopted these new capital funding guidelines. Fast forward to last year, summer of last year, we opened up the cycle for applications, had a community meeting with the applicants, and they submitted their applications. I will note that as a prerequisite to be included in this program, you had to check a number of boxes, including being an eligible project by standards of state statutes. We've got to be able to spend TDT on your project through state statutes, as well as you've got to be conforming to the local tourist development plan, and then finally fall within the regulations and the guidelines in our capital funding guidelines program. Additionally, you've got to be owned and operated by either a public entity or a not-for-profit, and then you had to submit. You had to hire a third party to perform an analysis of economic impacts that this project will generate. On the Visit St. Pete Clearwater side, we hired Susan and her team from Crossroads to support us in reviewing of these applications, specifically focused on reviewing the economic impact studies that the applicants provided, making sure that they were, the methodology was sound, they understood those, the numbers, the rationale behind those. They did have some additional questions. If there was any misunderstanding on those, they reached out to them, and the applicants were incredibly helpful and responsive to those requests. The rest of the Visit St. Pete Clearwater team then got together, specifically the leadership team, and we scored it. We'll get into the scoring methodology later, but you can see here that the scoring that was considered when scoring these, the categories considered when scoring these, had to relate to the annual tourism economic benefits, number of projected tourism room nights, visitors. We really focused on the incremental numbers that would be provided by these projects, marketing and sponsorship benefits, contribution to the Visit St. Pete Clearwater strategic plan, and then to the extent possible, we wanted to make sure that we consider geographical distribution throughout the county. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Susan, I'll ask you to come up now, or excuse me, before I do that, we'll go to the next slide. And this is just an overview that lists the 8 applications that we received. You see the project, what the request is, the amount being requested, and then the entity in which is requesting it. We totaled those up, and altogether, the 8 projects submitted requests of just shy of $67 million. Now I will turn it over to Susan with Crossroads Consulting to go over some of the project descriptions as well as the economic data that supported them.
Thanks, Brian. Morning, Susan.
Good morning. Keep organized here. Thank you for that introduction, Brian. So as Brian mentioned and was in your packet, we really reviewed the applications and provided a summary and tried to keep it apples to apples. Our goal was really to synthesize the data and provide summaries of each project for, again, kind of an apples to apples comparison. Our focus was really on the economic impact studies to make sure that they appeared reasonable, the methodology was sound. And so, as you mentioned, we held different discussions, got a lot of clarification. Our job was not to say whether it's reasonable, which project is better than the other project, whether they're conservative or aggressive. It's really just meant to present the data in the best possible way. So today, we're just going to go over each of these projects, a brief overview, some of which you've heard earlier, and also just a snapshot of what those economic benefits were. So starting with the Eddie C. Moore complex project, really looking at a new 2-story building and a renovation of that, and then the new structure. So looking at new bathrooms, multi-purpose rooms, technology, improvements to the field amenities, seating, improved warm-up. So the big thing will be that new building, which one of the things will have the broadcasting boost, which, as you know, from streaming and competitive is super important now. Looking at the economic impact, and I'll take 1 second to go through with this one. So we really wanted to look at what they're doing currently, and then what their years are 1, 5, and 10 after either the renovation, redevelopment, or new construction. So we looked at a couple things. One, the difference in attendees, the room nights, the direct spending, so spending in your hotels and your restaurants, and then total output, which that's going to include the direct, the indirect, and the induced. And then also tourist development tax. So this is just a synopsis of all the detail that was in your packet, but if you look at the bottom big picture graphics, this is really the aggregate incremental over the 10-year period, and so this is really our focus. So when you look at this project, they're looking at 178,600 additional attendees during that period, almost 120,000 room nights, over 100 million in direct spending, 162 in total output, and 1.2 million in tourist development tax. So that is one thing that they looked at is really the duration of the event. For most of those tournaments, it's obviously multi-day, but nothing, no additive stay or anything else. The next project is the Clearwater Beach Marina, which we heard a description of that in the public comments, but really looking to redevelop and replace a lot of those aspects, make it more welcoming for some of those pedestrian spaces, but replacing docks, replacing seawalls, overwater utilities, again, making that better improvement for that connection with the Marina Walk, to connection to the restaurants and retail, and also, as we mentioned, installing ADA-compliant docks. So that's an overview of the Marina project. And then again, kind of focusing on the bottom box in here. So the incremental new, so again, the difference if we didn't do anything and if we did these improvements, is about 3.3 million visitors over that 10-year period, about 580,000 room nights, 488 million in direct spending, 815 million in total output, and 8 million in tourist development tax. The next project is the aquarium. Again, we got a little bit of an overview with that in public comments, but really trying to transform that area into a sea lion habitat and also a river otter habitat. So trying, as we all know, with any type of attraction, you're always trying to change it out every so many years and try and keep it fresh, both for your residents, but more importantly for tourists to keep them coming back. So really trying to focus on revitalizing the older aspect or the older portion of the aquarium. Again, when we look at what those incremental benefits are, it's about 229,000 attendees, 273,000 room nights, 186 million in direct spending, 312 in total output, and 3.1 million in tourist development tax. One thing with the aquarium is they were really only focused on the purpose of the stay, which was one of the things we asked. For some of the other attractions, you can also look at, okay, we came and they stayed one extra day. So theirs was a little bit conservative in terms of only purpose of the stay. The Arts Center, again, with the public comment, we got a little bit of an overview. We're really trying to have a new expanded facility and adjacent parking lot, and really try and integrate what we have now with the Arts Center and the Chihuly, and trying to, again, keep it fresh and have a larger area to show these exhibits. The aggregate incremental for the Arts Center is about 77,000 attendees, about 31,000 room nights, 18 million in direct spending, 28 in total output, and about $250,000 in tourist development tax. Palladium, really want to do a renovation of that, and the highlights are replacing all of the seats, having a new ceiling, raising the stage, really trying to improve it and get more better acts to the county, and trying to enhance the audience experience, which will help get better acts and keep people there longer, is the premise of those improvements. When we look at what the economic impact is, it's about 212,000 incremental attendees, about 68,000 room nights, 39 million in direct spending, 78 million in your total output, and about $1 million in tourist development taxes. So this is going to be something interesting because they're really expecting to get, one of the impetuses of this is really getting more non-local, more non-county people to come to these events and spend their money when you look at the analysis in more detail. And with that, I'm going to transfer it to Brian, and he's really going to go through the methodology used to rank these projects. So you'll see in your packet what we did is we took all that information and did an evaluation, kind of did a snapshot side by side so you can look at it, what was the percentage difference. But then Brian and his team went through and really ranked these projects and came up with a recommended dollar amount for award.
Thanks, Susan. And as was mentioned, talking about the methodology, what we did was we wanted to come up with a way that we could not only rank, score, and recommend funding amounts for these projects based on their own, each project's own individual merit, but when you have a number of projects at the same time, you're obviously comparing them to each other. So what we did was we looked at the 5 categories that are on this list, as well as each one of those has an assigned point value. We took, ranked each one of these, or excuse me, scored each one of these projects for each of the 5 categories. We added those total points together, and that gave us a total score for the project. The highest ranked project, we took that score and we multiplied it by their request, their funding request. That gave us a top line number, a maximum value that we placed on these projects. So you'll see that on the next slide. The remaining projects, we took their scores, used as a percentage of the, we took their total scores, used that as a percentage against the top ranked project and their score, multiplied it by their ask, and that's what we got. That's how we got the recommended funding amount. There are 2 exceptions to that. 2 projects, one project scored higher than it actually asked for, so they would be eligible for more. What we did there was we recommended full funding of that project. And then another project we took, and it, pardon me, I actually typed this last bullet in error, so I'm going to describe it. It's slightly different than this. We took the one of the projects, it was the lowest scoring. We struggled with a way to find a recommended funding value for that one. And we didn't want to essentially disproportionately reward projects based on the amount of funding they requested. So what we did was we looked at the total incremental room nights that they would generate from this project over 10 years, divided that by the lowest funded project and the room nights, the incremental room nights that it would generate over 10 years. We took that percentage, multiplied it by the lowest recommended funding amount, and that's how we got the recommended funding amount for that final project. So now going to the next slide, we do have a list of the recommendations. So you'll see there the rank, how we rank these projects, what they requested, and what that recommendation translates to in dollars. And then on the right-hand side, we've got comments. You'll notice there were 8 projects that were submitted. We're recommending 5 at this time. 2 of those projects, the Dunedin Museum, as well as the Florida Orchestra, they were deemed ineligible to participate in the program because they did not meet state statute, the capital project requirements, or the TDT plan. And then the Woodson Museum, they were eligible. However, within the guidelines, there are some minimum numbers that must be met on annual room nights and annual attendance. And while they did meet the annual attendance, they fell just shy on the annual room nights. So one of the provisions within the capital guidelines is that if you fall short of those thresholds, that we're required to take that to the Board of County Commissioners and ask them if that project can be considered for inclusion in the program. So that is on the next agenda for the BCC. If that is approved, we get the thumbs up. We'll then score that, bring that back to you next month, and then we would add that into the recommendations that come out of this meeting and take one package to the Board of County Commissioners on March 25th. So I will go to the next slide, the next and final slide. I kind of just covered this. These are next steps. After this meeting, the Woodson request is on the BCC agenda next week for consideration of inclusion in the program. March 19th, we would bring it back here if the BCC authorizes it. March 25th, final recommendations for all projects will go to the BCC. And then coming from that meeting, Visit St. Pete Clearwater staff will negotiate an agreement with each of these applicants, and then we'll bring those final agreements to the Board of County Commissioners at a later date. So I think we could probably go back to the next slide because that's where the focus will be. But I just want to say I'm very proud of the team that scored these. This was our first time going through these guidelines. It was the first time that much of the team scored these requests. It was the first time we had applications come in since 2017 in the program. So I think that this was a very good, sound methodology to score these, and I'm very proud of the recommendations that they put forward. So with that, happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Questions of Brian? Chuck? Then we'll go to Russ.
Thank you, Commissioner. First off, I applaud your effort, Brian, and the team. In the old days, when I first got on the TDC, you would gather a group of us TDC members, put us in a room, and have all these folks give their presentations. And we'd spend all day, it wasn't the time, it was at the end of each presentation, we would score those in about 60 seconds. And based on what we heard, it just was not an academic approach for giving away millions and millions of dollars. So now you've taken it to a whole nother level, studied it, hired an expert, and then done a true analysis. So I applaud that effort. And that's the right way and responsible way to spend tourist development tax dollars. The capital recommended for the projects is $24,785,000 without the Woodson Museum. What's our total budget that we, unless we modify, what can we go up to?
I'll answer that question as precise as possible. We don't have a budgeted amount for capital project expenditures in our budget. So in theory, the answer would be we have a total reserve in capital, in the capital fund right now. However, that capital fund balance would be used for additional capital projects that do not go through this process. So that's the best way I can
No,
answer
that's
that.
that's a very fair answer. And so if we're not up against any ceiling, we've certainly got plenty in reserves in our capital reserve account with the Woodsy Museum, and we still have the Dali, which was at 34 million dollars last year at this time, I believe it was, and we allocated about half of that, the BCC did, and they said come back when you get a little bit further and we'll talk about it. So that always concerns me, that we're not going to be able to fund the rest of the Dali if needed and approved. Thank you.
Russ, you have any?
Okay, I wasn't quite ready yet, but I
Okay,
will be
sorry.
glad to ask now. Can you review the staff my concern in the marketing side, the sponsorship side, that's 20 points, of whether that was adjusted or whether that's what it's been and you kept it that way? I'm just thinking of these different projects that we have that we're investing in again, the national, international exposure of it, and is that the right amount to go towards that, to say where we are with that on it? Do we also spend other money, marketing money, to promote them also? Is there a budget that we're using from our marketing side that we shouldn't consider any more than that? Can you address that?
Yeah, I think to the whether or not it's the right percentage, it's the percentage that was in there when we opened this up. So if it's the right one or not, that's the one that we used this time around. We will be revisiting this after this process, the guidelines, to make sure that is, in fact, the right percentage. I will tell you that we did struggle on the marketing and sponsorship side of things with these projects, specifically what was proposed on the marketing and sponsorships. And we're very unique in the fact that we place no value on, as an example, putting a Visit St. Pete Clearwater logo on the side of a building that's here. We spend a significant amount of our budget marketing these things already. And so we did struggle to find marketing value in these projects on a whole. However, we do market all of these projects already and will continue to market these projects. The one project, which was the #1 ranked project, part of the reason it was ranked #1 is because it excelled in the marketing side of things and sponsorship side of things. Anybody who watched ESPN over the weekend, hopefully you didn't tune in early and see the first pitch of the Clemson game. However, if you would have turned on ESPN, you saw America's Best Beaches everywhere, Clearwater Invitational everywhere, on the guide, in the score box, the overhead shots, the outfield, behind the plate. There's a significant marketing value of that project, and that's what really made that stand out. Is that what you're looking for?
That's what I'm looking for, to say, is it enough and where we are and how, and that percentage that we use for marketing side. That is, the first one is one of my favorite for showing that the room nights are spread over the whole upper part of the county, not just in one of the areas like some of the other attractions would be, and whether that's being fair enough where we are in the amount that we are doing for that. It's the whole thing is not necessarily the construction side, but the total value because of the marketing side of what we spend and what else is being done on it. I was in Atlanta this weekend, and I walked into the Fairfield Hotel, and what's on the lobby? Our announcer and a game going on. It wasn't a Clemson game either. So that's the one I'm concerned about. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, we look for opportunities on our end on how we can tap into, even if they didn't propose a certain marketing benefit, we look into how we can utilize that as a resource. So we've got travel journalists coming in on a regular basis. We've got PR folks coming in. We've got FAMs coming in, travel advisors, tour operators, all the time. And we look for opportunities to leverage our partnership with these capital projects, that these facilities can host them, host the FAMs, take them on tours, and just add to the visitor experience while they're here.
I'm going to also say, if I can, today is 50 years of Sheraton Sand Key. has been open for business. We opened up 50 years ago today. I've been very fortunate to be in one hotel for that many years and on this board for many years. And when I'm looking at these, this morning I got thinking about it and I'm going, what changed Clearwater? I'm going to use this as an example if I can just for a second. And I've thought, one, a few years after we opened, our bridge going to Sand Key dropped one morning by 10 inches and it closed it. So the development of the city and the state and the county of putting new bridges in with no tolls was a major change for tourism as they went down through the whole beaches, all the beaches. Two is, I think the roundabout that was put in to Clearwater and clean up from Howard Johnson that you looked at as you started and everything is one of the backbones that really changed Clearwater also. And the third one is the elected officials in the city, when they went and changed the density and lot line numbers and so forth to say we could redo our beaches and put brands in the hotel and bigger hotels and everything. And our tax collection is showing it. And so the investment into, I think that marina is so important as the next item after we took the parking off the beaches and gave the density. And I think that is an example for other areas of the beaches communities to be looking at some of this too. And I think the proof is St. Petersburg. All of a sudden, I think there was $1 million tax collection they hit this month, and the investment into St. Pete for some of those things really has brought that on to put other hotels, branded hotels and everything in there too. So I think these are very worthwhile doing. And I look at a couple of them geographically, whether it's right or not, but it's the right way to do this investment, I think. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. Yeah, we forget that those bridges used to be tolled. I mean, Sand Key was tolled, Bel Air Causeway was tolled, Park Boulevard was tolled. Questions? Phil?
The comment, I need to read this, since I have several boat operations in the Clearwater Beach Marina, I'd like to comment on it. I'm required to disclose the fact that this project may have some benefit, special private gain or loss for me, since I have, I'm the president of Starlight Cruises, Inc., Anderson Bay Cruises, Inc., Florida West Coast Cruises, Inc., and PJS Cruises, Inc., which all operate vessels in operate commercial passenger vessels in the Clearwater Beach Marina, which has applied for this the grant. As a principal owner and officer of these corporations, I may be perceived that I will benefit from the improvements. So I just want to state that. I will not be voting on this particular project since I am so close to it, but I do want to make some comments about it. I'm going to dovetail on what Russ was saying. All those things are absolutely correct. I've been in the area for 42 years, and I've seen all those things take place. And I live on Bel Air Beach, so that bridge going across Sand Key is a great thing. The roundabout tremendously improved the circulation of traffic through the beach area, and of course the density changes have turned Clearwater Beach into something that it was, never like before. The marina itself, when you talk about add value and so forth, no, you're not going to see a banner saying, best beaches and so forth, like you would at a baseball game. However, it is something that you will advertise over and over and over. I will ask you, what are the exact reasons for coming to our area? And if you take the first letter of those, it's water. Okay, whether it's beach water or getting out on the water. I use that in some advertisements myself, get out there on it. That's what people come here for. And I carry over 100,000 passengers a year, 50% of which are probably tourists, maybe more. That attraction, just think of it as an attraction, as a theme park, with a bunch of different rides, which you would take one or two of those instead of paying to go into a theme park and take all the different rides. That's exactly what it is. It's entertainment for tourists, and it is in need of a lot of repair. It's been there for a long time. I'll also comment on the fact that the project is $46 million, and they've only asked for $10 million. I think that all of the applicants were advised to stay within a certain range for easier approval, and I think that was around 10 million. And you don't see that all of them except one asked for 10 or less. And I feel like that if we were as Mr. Prouder said, if we were grading it, we would have taken that best score and called that 100%, and then taken a percentage of that, based on everybody else's score. I also am not quite sure I understand the scoring because the Clearwater Beach Marina, in my view, from tourist development tax, collections, visitors, and so forth, all those stats are far and away higher than any other project that's being asked for. So I'd ask you to consider all that. And if you did take the Eddie Seymour project and give it 100% as opposed to the 70-some percent you gave it, you would still stay under $50 million in appropriations for the grants. And I think that still leaves quite a bit for the Rays. The Clearwater Beach Marina has way more visitors than a Ray Stadium will over the year, believe it or not. It's about over 4,000 a day on average. As I said, my 3 vessels operations will carry over 100,000 a year in itself. So consider all that, and possibly make a change to how you're starting the best one, and note that they were all told to stay in a certain range, I think, to have a better process, or better chance of approval. In the case of the Clearwater Beach Marina, they're only $10 million out of 46 million they've asked for. So, and again, I can't vote. But there you have it.
Thank you, Phil. And when we get to the point of voting, what I thought we would do is just vote on all of them individually. So that way you can recuse yourself from the one you need to. Other questions, comments? Dave?
Yeah, thank you. And I really do appreciate the new approach. I think it's a good one, a sound one. There's still obviously room for discussion and compromise. Russ, your comments on infrastructure investment to me is just so right on. We've obviously been investing in projects all over the county, specifically a lot of them in downtown St. Petersburg. Which comes first, the infrastructure development or the project improvements, or both going on simultaneously. And I think that's what we do here, and I just commend all of you who continue to give your time here. And I just had a couple just brief questions. It wouldn't take long. On the Eddie Seymour Economic Impact Study, I see the attendee increase over the years. Pretty significant. Are we saying that's because of the exposure and more teams coming? Is it larger infrastructure that's being built, more fields being built that allows more teams and more people, or just a natural increase?
I'll do my best to
exposure?
answer that, and if I get it wrong, I'm sure someone will sprint up to the mic, to the podium. Essentially, what they're doing out there is, for anyone who's been out there, you have, I believe it's 9 fields separated into 3 areas. And right now, a lot of they only have the capability to do ESPN live games on some of those fields. Other fields they can stream. And in addition to that, you have all this area where you could increase the number of stands and seats and features that visitors could come. Right now, they're maxed out. You will go out there and they have people, every seat is filled. They bring in additional seating, and you've got people, climbing on, well, I'll be careful what I say, but I think they're like climbing trees to get a view. So part of this project is they're going to add additional seating capacity. The big overall theme, though, is once these improvements occur, you can maintain the big name tournaments that they have, but they will also be a draw for additional national, international, big-time tournaments that they currently can't host today. Okay. So that's where a lot of that comes from.
Fair enough. And the other question on we talked about aggregate attendees, and I'm not sure that I'm seeing the same approach to each of the projects. So the Eddie Seymour is 178,600 attendees in aggregate or on average?
That is because of these improvements, over a 10-year period post-improvements, they will realize an additional 178,000.
Okay, incremental.
It's all
increase.
incremental. Correct.
Okay, and so when we get down to the marina, then you're saying there'll be an additional 3 million due to the improvements?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted that. And just for the record, since I do represent the North County, literally the North County, And none of the dollars are going into North County, though the impacts clearly do. So I'm just saying for the record, poor little Dunedin Museum at $24,000 request. I'm not sure that I understand state statute not allowing them there. It's an infrastructure improvement that's certainly in part of the enhancement to the downtown. If you look at the facility, the programming that goes on, the store out front that they have, huge impact right in the center of downtown, lots of art, culture. It's a beautiful piece right along the trail. It is certainly a project, a building that needs an improvement to add to the historic nature of the building that is part of the downtown. And at 24,000 seemed to be, and I understand part of the problem was that they didn't give you an economic study or an economic input. So I certainly would hope that next year, with that in tow, that maybe they would be considered again. But anyway, just couldn't let that go by. And that's all I had. Thank you. Again, thank you all for your input.
Anybody else? All right. Well, Brian, I just want to say I really appreciate the methodology that you use. I thought it's very, very, very sound, very solid, and I like the fact that we're just taking a, more of an evidence-based approach rather than more of a, what feels good approach or emotional approach to it. So just so I understand correctly, so the Eddie Seymour Complex scored the highest, so basically at 77.5%, and that was basically the ceiling then for everybody else, and then you applied their score, individual score against that.
Correct. We took you were correct on that Eddie Seymour scoring and recommendation. We then took the remaining projects score, divided it by Eddie Seymour's score. That gave us a percentage, and then we multiplied that percentage by the recommended funding amount for Eddie Seymour of $7.75 million, and that gave us their recommended funding amount.
Excuse me, Commissioner, can you use the microphone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Could you explain again on those two items what eliminated them as you look at it through the prism of state statute?
Yeah, Amanda will correct me if I'm wrong. So the first one on the Florida Orchestra, that was not necessarily a state statute that precluded them for participation in the program. That was the actual program. They have a lease with the Mahaffey Theater. The Mahaffey Theater then has a lease with the city of St. Petersburg. And so what they were proposing to do, they're a leasee of the city, and they were proposing to construct a new expansion. We would need the city to apply, be the applicant, or indicate that they 100% support that project. And while they did indicate that they fully support the Florida Orchestra, they were not in a position at the time of the application to fully support the request. So that's why they were precluded. On the Dunedin History Museum, they were proposing to replace a clock that was on the exterior of their facility. And I believe the replacement of a clock to the exterior of a museum did not fit the state statute as a tourism driving improvement renovation of a museum. So that's why they were precluded. Correct, Amanda?
Yeah, basically, the statute allows us to spend tourist development dollars on the construction, renovation, maintenance, et cetera, of a museum. And so the analysis that we had to do is the clock tower a museum? And there isn't a definition of that in the statute. There isn't any case law specifically on point as to, is a clock tower a museum? So we looked at the standard usage of the term and determined that it does not appear to be a museum. However, if we want to discuss that more, we certainly can. If anyone has an argument that, the clock tower is a museum or is part of the museum, we can certainly look at that. But that was the initial look, was because we do interpret these statutes so strictly that it didn't fall under that category.
Yeah, I would probably take a little exception with it. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, but I do think that when you look at anything that has to do with the facility, whether it was the Dali Museum and all of the plans associated with that, some of them were infrastructure related that weren't the museum, if you will, whether it's outside areas or, so I think there's argument, and this is a clock tower. It's not just a clock that's put outside the window or something. This is a clock tower that's part of the overall museum itself, and certainly a spokesperson or spokes piece to that. So again, I'm not going to push it, but I do think the economic impact, I think, needs to be looked at. You know, what they're saying is related to that. So maybe that's for next year. But I want to maybe look at that one issue that we're talking about as it relates to projects that we'll look at next year, that we might otherwise eliminate based on the same argument that you're making here. So that's all. Thank you.
Copley?
Thank you. Commissioner Eggers, thanks for the question on the Florida Orchestra. At the time of application, the city just was unwilling to support the project because of the upcoming Dali construction, and also we're going through a master plan for what we're calling the Center of the Arts, which is included of the Mahaffey Theater, the Dali Museum, and Allang Stadium. And so that master plans should be published here in the next few months. And so at the time of application, we wanted to have those things settle before supporting. And like Brian said, we certainly support Florida Orchestra. Just at that point, there were too many plates in the air, and wanted to see where it came down first.
Yeah, and I certainly understand the sub-lessee.
Yeah.
The least lessee of a lessee of.
And we were going through the renegotiation of the amendment for Dali at the time, and that was a stressful negotiation between Mahaffey, the Dali, and the city. And so, again, we just weren't willing to take on one more negotiation at the time. But I think hopefully in the future, we're going to get there soon. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Any other questions? No? I mean, I would certainly encourage Florida Orchestra to apply in the future, as well as the Dunedin Museum. So, well, do we want to entertain any motions? I suggest that we take these individually. So, do we have a motion for ADC Moore?
I'll move approval on the recommended amount of $7.75 million for ADC Moore.
Okay. All right. We have a motion from Mr. Yurtis, second from Mr. Saraki. Have any further discussion? Phil?
As I mentioned before, we would have taken the highest scoring project and given them 100%, and then given a less percentage, on down the line. So that Eddie Seymour would get the $10 million since they had scored the highest, and then going on down the line, Clearwater Beach Marina would get 94.8% of that, and on down the line based on that percentage, if that's the scoring you would use. But I also want to reiterate that I think most of these applicants were told that if they stayed within 10 million, the process would be easier and wouldn't have to go through the BCC. It still has to go through the BCC, but the approval process would be more lenient. Again, the Clearwater Beach Marina, $46 million project, 15 of which is considered to be to the commercial side. The rest is for public benefit and tourism. If they would have, and I think you can apply for 50%, so they would have asked for 15 million. But I think they were told that 10 million was a number that would slide through easier. And therefore, I would ask that you take a look at that and say the best score should get their full funding, and the other scores on down the line get the percentage based that you did, like in the case of Clearwater Beach Marina, 94.8%, I think is what it worked out to. But that's just a discussion item, and as I said, I would rather see Eddie Seymour get the full 10 million as a discussion point. I know there's a motion in a second. That's my recommendation for that.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Dylan, you have a comment?
Yeah, I just, not being on the board previously and watching this move through as a newer TDC member, I think some of the points, like Chuck, you made earlier, of how in the past the presentations would happen and then we'd have to sit here and score them quickly. And to your point, Phil, it would be a little bit more of a a point and click and essentially an emotional guesstimate of where we should fall on this stuff. And I really think the staff did a lot of hard work in analyzing this and the consultants. And I feel that these are really numbers that could be stood on and defensible, right? There was a process, there was an algorithm, if you will, and I feel it's a good path forward to have something that we can look at and say, this is why. And that's what I think moving forward is a positive note to set the precedence that in the future, when projects apply, there's a methodology we use, a scoring structure we use, and it's a more transparent, defensible process. So I personally would support the motion currently on the board.
Brian?
Yep, Dave?
Yeah, so the amount requested, that's one discussion or one argument that we could have today, this year or next year. The other one, just from because your formulas, like, went way over my head. I was, not gathering all of them. So could you qualitatively say what Eddie Moore Complex could have done in their application to get them the full 10 million, for instance, versus the 7.75? Just trying to understand, not the starting point of 15 versus 10, let's say, but 10 requested. What could they have done to boost that up a little bit? What was the shortfall, if you will?
Yeah, so again, I would not call it a shortfall. I would simply say that when we looked at these projects and knowing that we have laid out criteria that we have to score these against and compare these against, we had to come up with something that we could place a value on these, stand firm by it, and be confident in, and know the trickle-down effects on these other projects. And so one project may, the marina, for example, you look at their economics and they're through the roof. So you say, well, that's the best one. They should get the most. But others, they have better marketing. Others, they fit in strategically to the plan. Others are, and that one actually hit on the one where it was the only one that got any points for geographical distribution. Turns out all these projects are in downtown St. Pete or Clearwater Beach typically. So what we did was they were the outlier and they were in somewhere else, so they got the points and the others didn't. I would probably say just their overall 10-year incremental economic benefits could be higher. Again, looking at the number 2 ranked project and where those were, and you can see the delta there. That's really, and I don't mean that to be critical. I think some of these projects, we really struggled to find something that was equitable and was defensible when we looked at all these projects, knowing that we had to score them on 5 different categories.
And again, I think each year in some ways stands on its own, to Phil's argument, but in some ways they stand the test of comparing to projects the previous year and the ones that are coming next year as well. So just because you ask for 10 doesn't mean you get 10, because compared to a project that came last year or one that's coming next year, this is our first year of doing this, so it'll be interesting to see how it works moving forward. But I'm willing to support what you've recommended. Thank you.
And you brought up a good point, Commissioner. Something that I did want to touch on when we were talking about the amounts, just to put it in comparison again, because we have done individual projects or groups of projects in the past with the DALI as the latest. And so I just wanted to, I ran through the numbers and put together, okay, because the DALI was recent, let's look at what that was provided funding for and those economic incremental benefits that they had. So we're proposing that these 5 projects combined, totaling $24 million. The DALI was approved for $25 million, so up pretty close to the same. The DALI had a 10-year incremental room nights of 171,200, so that's about 100,000 incremental room nights per year. It had a 10-year incremental TDT collection of 13.5 million. Those were for these projects combined. I apologize. When you look at the DALI, 15.2 million incremental TDT collection over 10 years. So more. When you look at the 10-year incremental room nights, 1.3 million over those 10 years. So that one project, the Dali, that it got $25 million, had higher 10-year incremental projections for both TDT collection and incremental room nights. So we thought this was in the ballpark.
The amount requested versus the project cost overall is also taken into consideration. Like, if it's a $50 million project, they're getting $33 million versus I'm just asking. You know,
We did not consider the total cost of the project or how much they asked for. We specifically wanted to judge these on value that we place on the project.
Dylan?
So to my earlier comment, this process being defensible and scoring making at least sense on paper here. To Phil's point about the $10 million ceiling, what was the thinking behind that, or how'd you get there?
Yeah, so there is one of the provisions in the capital guidelines is that projects requests over $5 million must, before we can even consider those, score those, provide recommendations, I'm required to take those to the Board of County Commissioners and ask for their approval for those to be considered. We did have one project that did submit over $10 million request. That was the Arts Center at Chihuly. They requested 15, and so that did have to go first to the Board of County Commissioners for that approval or non-approval. They received the approval to move forward in the process. So that was the impetus of that 10 million. And I see, I think most people chose to forego that step and submit for 10 or just below $10 million.
So if it was 10 million or less, they didn't have to go before the BCC to be included in scoring? Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Russ?
I'm going to vote for it, and I'm going to ask also, I think that our commissioner brought up a good point to request staff, because it was the first time, and how you did the percentages and everything, to go back, especially I'm concerned about the first two, to go back with the city and encourage them for these points to keep developing those projects and to apply for the next series through. I hope that it's not 6 years or whatever it was this time, that we look at projects again for capital projects. I encourage you to do that. Thank you.
All right. If there's nothing else, we have a motion and a second on the floor. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries with one dissent. All right, so moving on to the next one, the Clearwater Beach Municipal Marina. Do we have a motion on that one?
Make a motion to accept the recommended amount.
Okay.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Smith, second from Dylan.
I'd like to amend that motion if possible. I 100% agree with Phil. It's the face of our area that we're looking at, and I look at Eddie Seymour and Clearwater Beach, and I look at the amount that it was approved, and there's really no difference. I think I'm comfortable with Eddie Seymour being where it's at, but I would like to request that Clearwater Beach Marina get the full 10 million.
Are you willing to accept that amendment, or up to you?
I still recommend we go with the recommended amount from the staff.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions, discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Did you vote for that, Dave? Okay. All right, motion passes unanimously.
Abstained.
Moving on to the Palladium.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Saraki. All right, motion from Mr. Saraki.
Second.
Second from Mr. Hubbard. Any further discussion on the Palladium? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, on to the CMA. We have a motion?
Make a
Motion to
motion to approve.
Okay, was that a motion from Mr. Gaddis, second from Mr. Prather? All right. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Passed unanimously. On to the Arts Center in Chihuly collection. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion for Mr. Prather,
Second.
second for Mr. Hubbard. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passed unanimously. And I believe that concludes our capital funding projects. So, all right, thank you, everybody. All right, now we'll move on to destination metrics.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Phil.
Before we move on, Commissioner Eggers did make a mention that possibly should, I'm not sure if it was Russ or did, about applying for additional amounts in future capital funding rounds. This is something that takes place every other year?
So the current guidelines say that projects can be accepted. We can open up for applications. We may open up, the board may open up every 2 years.
Okay.
So the earliest they could be considered would be 2026.
Okay, so a project would have to still be ongoing if they wanted to apply for more funding?
Yes, and under the current guidelines, work that has been performed prior to the application is not eligible for funds. But if the project is still going on at the time of that application being submitted, those funds would be eligible.
Okay, thank you.
Morning.
All right. Well, I see that my crowd has all left, so unfortunately, it's just you guys now. But you know what greater
We're
way
still
to
here.
follow up
We're
a
still here.
presentation with data and numbers with another presentation of data and numbers. So let's get into it. This year we had a record-breaking December. The last record was in 2022, but we surpassed that amount, and compared to last year, we had over 500,000 more in tax collections and about an 8.5% increase comparatively year over year. So great demand in the month of December last year, that final month. We'll get into it a little bit more, but that demand was really driven by two of our key areas, Clearwater Beach and St. Pete, in that high hotel demand. And that our vacation rental side of things is still in recovery, as we kind of see on the numbers to the left. But overall, we're seeing really some great visitation numbers. And I do think that there are some strong indicators that people are coming and visiting, and you guys have probably anecdotally seen evidence of that as well. So in terms of the tax collections and getting into it a little bit more, we had over a 30% growth in collections in the area of Clearwater and Clearwater Beach, as well as over a 40% growth in collections in St. Pete. Now, we did have a little bit of a decline in the vacation rental collections on the far left or far right of the graph. It still remains our second highest area of collection. So I do really want to make sure that we keep in our heads that this is a significant industry for us. And then we can also see a significant decline still remains in St. Pete Beach and those more southern beach communities. So looking into this a little bit further and kind of taking some notes from the last month's presentation, looking at the demand and the supply of our vacation rental industry over the past year, we really had, leading up to the hurricanes, a significant growth in our supply, over 11% growth leading up to that point. And we also had growth in demand, just under 4% in that aspect. And of course, the hurricanes hit, and we saw these jump down as some of that inventory became unavailable. We have seen progressively an incremental increase in the supply and demand of this area, which is great to see. We hope to continue to really see this come along, and we'll continue to monitor it into the next year as we hope, as we get closer to season, that the demand and our ability to fill that demand, comes available. Sure.
Interrupt there while you're on vacation rental and maybe go back a slide. And just in mentioning the right-hand graphic, the inland and vacation rental, I had spoken to Brian about that I don't think that really helps us look at the tax collections. In other words, it's apples and oranges when you combine inland and vacation rentals. So I know hopefully in the future you'll be able to differentiate
Yeah.
those kinds of numbers.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. The vacation rental side of things, and it should be important to know, a lot of those, in fact, the majority of those do fall on that beach area side. I think moving forward, probably a better representation of this graph will be to list them out as we have in the past by, the total amounts in putting it all into one graph. We've been breaking it out into these sections as we've kind of been trying to understand the different balances between the supply and demand across our area. But I think we're getting a little bit clearer picture of what areas are still recovering and what areas have been improved relative to last year. So I think as that picture is really clarified itself, we can, re-envision what this specific data looks like. And any questions on this slide before I jump to the next one? Okay. So for St. Pete Beach hotel demand, very similar trend to what we saw in the vacation rental graph on the previous slide. We actually did have a little bit of a decrease in demand leading up to Hurricanes Helene and Milton. But one positive note that I do want to point out here is we've been seeing the demand really return at a faster click than the available supply. And, we look every day in the news to make sure we're monitoring the progress of all the major hotels on St. Pete Beach and them getting back online. But we can really see the demand still kind of be returning, even to the fact that December, this past month, actually had a positive level of occupancy. Although, that is just really to say that relative to where we were last year, the demand in our supply was a little bit above, but overall, they're down quite a bit, as you can see. Largely looking at our region, it is a similar story, in Sarasota, Bradenton, and Hillsborough, where we've had an increase in our hotel demand and revenue. And that has been a great thing for our area. You can obviously see we're still recovering on the vacation rental side of things, and our area is certainly a little bit behind there. But even in Sarasota, you can see that as well, where their supply might be a little bit closer to the beaches, and they're making their way back to their new normal as well. Across the state of Florida, for the month of December, it was a really great month for the most part. I will point out that the beach communities, it must have been the great weather in the month of December, but the beach communities really led that growth in relative revenue and demand. As you look at places like Palm Beach County and Naples, those are kind of two of the areas that have some of those higher numbers across the board. But, across the state, really, we've seen positive numbers everywhere relative to last year. And this data is, I'm sorry.
Just on these reports where you're comparing us to the other areas, if there's some place on here that you could just put the kind of some real numbers, like it shows, maybe you're getting there or something, but where it shows like how we rank, how we look compared to Sarasota, how we look.
Sure. Yeah, and
give us a flavor of that.
Absolutely. In previous reports, what I did was kind of put up a comparable index of our supply. So relative to, our amount of inventory, what do these other destinations look like? And I'm happy to put that back on these slides. It just gets a little messy with all these figures. So I took it off temporarily, but I'm more than happy to put it back on. Looking at more of our survey data, we collect around 500 surveys in market, and we've continued to be doing that. And we are seeing some really interesting changes in some of the travel behavior of our guests. Noticeably, we're seeing diversity in our party composition. So we have kind of seen this rise of visitors who are coming as part of an extended family trip, or traveling here as a group of friends. And this is something interesting that we're really paying attention to, and how it's affecting some of our other data. We're tending to see the travel party size increase. We've seen that in 2 consecutive years when looking at the month of December, as well as traveling with children. That has gone up a little bit more for the past 2 consecutive years as well in this month. So we're seeing our travel party sizes go up a little bit more, and different types of groups traveling into our destination.
This party composition trend that you were just talking about, like with the extended family and the intermediate family growing so much, could that just be a function of this is December and it's the holidays, traveling with family?
So,
or is that monthly?
I don't think so, because we're looking at this data in the past 4 years, and we're seeing the same month, different trends in travel. We've also looked at previously the past year, and in the past kind of collective years, to look at from a marketing decision point of view, how we are making shifts and changes. And as Steve presented in his marketing plan a month or 2 ago, we've really seen some differences in this, not just for this month, but as we look at last year.
As an aggregate, we're seeing this trend.
So, it is interesting that we're seeing this in December in particular, and that could lead to some interesting findings and things for us to explore in the month of December as we prepare for, next year's travel to that month. But we'll continue to look at these travel trends, not just for December, but, for every month, and see if this is a change that carries us through, to the next busy season for us.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so moving on to more of our visitor data, and I apologize, these graphs are a little bit much, but I'll walk you through them. Starting with the bottom right one, this one I found particularly interesting. We've really seen this uptick in the primary reason for visiting being their friends and family. Now, we also saw kind of a trend in this data in 2021. So, it's interesting to see these major events that are coming in, and really the first response, the first visitors we're seeing are people who are coming to visit their loved ones in the area, which ultimately does make a lot of sense if you're unable to visit them and you want to check in on them. Those are some of our first visitors that I think we're starting to see come back. On the left side of this, the important factors in decision to visit, I also found this quite interesting. You can sort of see this as an enthusiasm gauge. This is a multi-select question, so they can select as many responses as they would like in this question as to what was an important factor in their decision to visit. There wasn't a majority response, so it wasn't one particular thing got over 50%, but a number of factors had quite a large percentage role in this particular month, including the weather, including the food scene, including the attractions, the beaches, the atmosphere, the outdoor recreation. So really, playing into our ampersand campaign where we're talking about all these things playing a part together. We're really seeing this in people's decision to visit, just reinforcing, that particular marketing campaign. And then lastly, I do want to call out, we've never seen 77% advertising recall. And this is quite impressive. So it's great to see it go up. It's amazing to see it make this big jump. I have, maybe some ideas as to why, but obviously we need to look at this further. I think our marketing has, obviously been effective, and this is something that illustrates that, but there's a number of reasons too. You could think about the groups of friends that are traveling. Well, if you're traveling with a group of friends, you might be researching that destination a little bit more than if you're someone who's just doing a trip with the couple, and they're going to figure it out when they get there and things like that.
Eddie, I will just add one of the major reasons that we believe that to be the case is because we've never spent as much money on marketing and advertising in the greater Tampa Bay area So I think those of you who have traveled recently, whether you drove here, you saw us on the interstate, you heard us on the radio, or you flew here, you saw us on the digital billboards, on the baggage claim, and the tram. So we're fresh on your mind.
And then just one last slide for you guys. Preliminarily, we have some data for the month of January, and we're really seeing a similar trend as to what we saw in December. We still have high demand, high revenue coming into our hotels. We still have our vacation rental market continuing to recover. These numbers are coming, down in both senses a little bit, and we'll continue to kind of understand how this is, going to carry through to our busy season. But for most indicators, it seems like our destination has continued to be strong in its visitation, and people are very enthusiastic about coming here and enjoying our beautiful weather this time of year, enjoying, the beach, the food, and everything that we have to offer them. Any questions?
Question. The 5.7% of supply decrease where we are right now, have we gone and checked and done a study on when we're looking at those properties coming back or what their estimates are, especially like St. Pete Beach and some of those areas where there are major hotels, Treasure Island and all? Have they given us an idea?
We do not have a more specific direction from that. I would care to hear from Mr. Smith. But, a lot of those hotels seem to be on their way towards reopening within the spring, perhaps later spring to be really fully open. The question is, how soon are they going to be open relative to the spring break, kind of period where we have that peak visitation?
I would suggest maybe we take the time to contact the hotels to see what their estimate is and all too, so that we kind of know where we're going forward when we get back to more normal on it, if we could.
I could share a little bit into that, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Please, Glenn.
We were on the Florida Restaurant Lodging Board meeting yesterday, and the Don Cesar is coming on very soon. They're getting ready to open their doors. Bellwether and the Beachcomber, they've announced that they're not coming on until later summer, June to July. The Postcard Inn, I don't know what they're going to be doing, and the Thunderbird's actually going to rebuild. They're going to come down and rebuild. Those are the larger ones that I know the status of right now. So summer is the target, but some will be on by spring.
Thanks, Clyde. Doreen, do you have any read at all on the short-term rental world?
Yes, I think that what we're seeing is that most of the vacation rentals are rapidly moving towards being open. Some are open still with, impacts on their facilities like the lack of the pool. But the beaches are accessible, the properties are cleaned up and looking good. Many of them are already re-landscaped. So those types of properties are still having the same draw, and we're able to fill rooms, sometimes at a discount, but we're seeing the occupancy increasing. We do have a few, but in my particular case, I, off the top of my head, can think of two that are later in the year. And that would be, June, July, one of them, but it's a small property with only 17, 19 units that I wouldn't gamble on when that one would be done. But I think for all the vacation rentals, the majority of them are very, very close to being open and capturing that spring business, if that answers the question.
Thanks, Doreen. All right, thanks, Eddie. Continue.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was questions?
Okay. Good time to have those questions. All right, any other questions for Eddie? No? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, so now we're up to update from Mr. Lowe.
Yeah, I'll just a few quick updates. I'll start with one that, we were giving monthly beach nourishment updates, and I kind of got away from that. But I did want to take the opportunity to just update on what's going on right now with the county. The county and the commissioners on this board can certainly address anything that I may miss on this, but high level, the county's still working on a fix in DC, and I know there is both a letter that was penned to the White House as well as a meeting on the books for the coming weeks with the White House to address that on the federal side of things. And throughout this entire process, the county has been working to get a design underway for a project, get permitting submitted and approved with the Army Corps, with the EP, and they are in the process of collecting easements, county easements, with language that the county crafted that is significantly different than the language used in the Army Corps of Engineers easements that they were requesting. So they're out there right now, they're doing community meetings, they're knocking on doors, they're working very closely with residents, homeowners associations, and the cities along that Sand Key project. The big thing that I want to get across there is if you know anybody who owns property within that project profile, encourage them. They've got about a week and a half-ish, 2 weeks, they should have already received that easement in the mail. They can go online to the PinellasCounty.gov website to read that easement, sign an easement, fill it in, call Kelly or John at Public Works to ask any questions, discuss that. But there's this is the last big push for those property owners to sign easements if they would like that project to move forward. I will note that they have right now enough easements in Clearwater, or Sand Key proper, as a lot of folks refer to it, the Clearwater and Bel Air Beach portions of the project. However, south of that, in the communities of Indian Rocks Beach, Indian Shores, North Reddington Beach, Reddington Shore, Reddington Beach, at this point, they don't have enough contiguous easements to make the project feasible in those portions. So again, I encourage you to tell anyone and tell everyone to consider reviewing those easements and get that in. That's it on beach nourishment. And I saw Doreen.
Just a question in that regard. I know the cities, all of our beach communities are still struggling with personnel, getting things done, permitting and so forth, but how about on these easements? The Big C, I know Mayor Gaddis has left, but are we getting the cooperation with the cities? I mean, are they making an individual reach to these property owners?
I know Kelly's working very closely with the cities.
Kelly Levy's Director of Public Works is working very closely with the cities. And thanks, Brian. That was a great beach nourishment update. I don't really have anything to add to that. I know next week, Commissioner Peters and Commissioner Scherer will be attending NACO in Washington, D.C., and I believe that's when they have a meeting scheduled with the White House on that. So hopefully we'll have a little more definitive things to report at our next meeting in March.
I also want to turn over from beach nourishment to an exciting announcement that was recently made, and that is that the Michelin Guide is coming to Pinellas County. And I wanted to just highlight one thing that the staff made a decision to do and kind of show the success of it. So the day that Michelin made the announcement of the expansion in Florida, they did that over at the World Equestrian Center, and that's where Florida Huddle and Florida Encounter was taking place. But we made the decision that we wanted to also do our own announcement here in Pinellas County. It turns out, I believe we're the only destination that did that. And as a result, we kind of took over the media that day on the announcement. And so it equated to a total of 2.4 billion impressions with a total advertisement and media value of over $48 million on just that one occurrence. So I wanted to highlight that, show the power of PR, and thank our team and everyone else who had the great idea and executed the plan. Next, I want to introduce and reintroduce one, but our interns. And as you guys know, we've got a very robust intern program. We partner with the colleges, and Craig Craig, Brandy, the entire team do a great job putting that program together, working them through all the departments. And so we are joined today by Daniela Slater, who's here. And Daniela, if you'd like to approach the podium and introduce yourself to the board, you're more than welcome to.
Good morning, Daniela.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Yes, my name is Daniela Slater. I am a USF St. Petersburg student, currently in the Digital Communications and Multimedia Journalism major. I am actually Colombian, but I fell in love with St. Pete and decided to stay, hopefully forever. I am very excited to be an intern at Visit St. Pete Clearwater since I started as a brand ambassador for them. I believe strongly in the mission that we all carry at Visit St. Pete Clearwater, and I'm very excited to continue this in my internship.
Welcome.
And over in the back corner there, we also are joined by two-time intern. He liked it so much he came back for a second go. Dayton Zabriskie, who you all met last year during his internship program. So we're fortunate to get him for another semester. So welcome, Dayton. And then the last but not least, certainly not least, I want to brag on one of our employees who was recently named the e-tourism visionary, one of the e-tourism visionary professionals who are redefining destination marketing and shaping the future of travel. She was selected as one of 10 e-tourism's rising stars. And it says here, from innovative storytelling to groundbreaking digital strategies, these rising stars are setting new industry standards and proving that the future of tourism is brighter than ever. They were selected by a committee of industry thought leaders from hundreds of submissions, and they will be taking the stage at eTourism 2025, where they'll share their insights and innovations that are redefining the industry. Who is that, you ask? The one and only Bailey Carlson. So shout out to Bailey. And I don't know if Bailey's probably not here. She's probably out in the field creating content. So thank you. If you're watching, Bailey, we appreciate it, and congratulations.
We like that, creating content.
Yes.
All right. All right, thank you, Brian. Do we have any other board member comments, discussion points? Anything else for the good of the order? Bill.
I just want to say in hindsight that I do appreciate staff going through all the capital projects, and you'll have consistency year over year, whereas we have board members that come and go. It's also a very laborious task. I've participated in it, and I've participated in the event, the elite events, and I think you do have a solid foundation moving forward. And just as long as everybody knows what that is, all the applicants know all the different things that are come into play, it will be better for them as well. But I do appreciate staff and what they've done there. So just want to make sure nobody misunderstood that. Thanks.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, I want to echo that. I thought the process that was created was well done, really good. So appreciate that effort. Yep.
And Mr. Chair, that is a function of the team, capital projects as well as elite events, chamber funding. That falls under Kylie Diaz's silo, and she and her team and the entire leadership team came together, and it was a lot of time, effort, energy, and then in partnership with Susan and Crossroads. So thank you to them.
Mayor Saraki?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brian, I just want to mention one thing. My first meeting on this board was when we did that program, and it was crazy. The people were coming up here asking for more money, and it was so out of control, and I didn't know what to expect. So I just want to say to staff, fantastic job. Way better this meeting. very organized. I love how you set it up. I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, well, hearing none, I look forward to seeing everybody at our next meeting, March 19th, 2025 at 9 a.m., and we are adjourned.